And tell me about the paper that you presented in the 10th IAS DSI International Conference.
Yes, sir.
The job is to rewrite the Constitution of India.
Yes, sir.
What suggestions you would give? What will be your contribution to that?
What is the key thing about Raksol?
So, which issues were discussed with him by our Honorable Prime Minister?
On some parameters, how will you compare Bengal and UP?
May I come in, sir?
Sir,
Yes. Come in.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sirs.
Good afternoon. Mr. Shukla, would you please take your seat?
Thank you, sir.
Unbutton your jacket.
Thank you, sir.
And tell me about the paper that you presented in the 10th IAS DSI International Conference on the topic titled Application of 5S for Workplace Performance. What was it? What was the theme of your paper?
So the paper presented at the above mentioned conference was a case study based paper wherein I used the principle of 5S in bringing workplace performance improvement changes at a boiler room at my college BITS Pilani. So the project room or the boiler room was the storehouse of the Formula racing teams of our college, and the project work was implemented there with my team, and we were able to draw benefits which related from drawing cost out of the unused inventory, and then the overall workplace performance improvement increased with the increased number of attendance of the people, the team members. And the greatest benefit that we accorded was we instilled a sense of 5S behavior in the students, which was continued even after the project ended, sir.
What does ISDSI stand for? 10th ISDSI.
So the ISDSI stands for the International Society for Decision Sciences Institute.
Okay. And tell me, with your BITS Pilani background, what really prompts you to think of civil service as a career? And can you tell me what's the relationship between civil service and laws?
So there are two reasons why being an engineer coming from BITS Pilani, I want to get into the civil services. The first, it comes from a personal experience during my volunteering at the NSS BITS Pilani, sir. I have served in the local villages under the project, and coming from a city like Kolkata, where all the modern facilities have been available, I saw a stark difference between the city and the place in Pilani, sir. And this is what has pushed me to apply for the civil service examination and prepare for the same. And the second is about the nature of the job, sir. It is a very well-paying job. It's a prestigious job. The job instills a sense of responsibility, the diversity in workforce, the tasks that are offered. So this is what are the two reasons why I am prompted to appear and apply for the exam, sir.
What is meant by civil service?
So civil services is this branch of public service that is governed by the civil services rules, sir. And it finds mention under the Article 312 of the Constitution, which talks about the All India services.
What does it mean in English language? Civil service. What is so civil about the civil service?
So in the crudest terms, I would say civil services means the branch of the executive, which deals with the civilian populations and the concerns of the civilian populations, sir.
What is the relationship between laws and civil service? Laws.
Yes, sir. So civil services both operate within the framework of laws, as well as civil service play an important role in the formulation and implementation of laws, sir. So laws and civil services hold a very synergetic relationship with each other.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Subject is PSIR.
Yes, sir.
This political science has brought you here. I'm taking you a few steps ahead now.
Yes, sir.
Imagine you are an IAS officer, and
Yes,
after a few years, you are working in the center.
Yes, sir.
And the central government appoints a high-powered committee, of which you are the youngest member, for fresh ideas and even out-of-the-box suggestions. The job given to the committee is once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you.
Yes, sir.
The job is to rewrite the Constitution of India.
Yes, sir.
What suggestions you would give? What will be your contribution to that? Be specific. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So my first step would be studying what are the flaws, and in this I would actually be using.
I'm not asking you for what you would do by way of steps. The question is very specific.
Yes, sir.
From a BITS Pilani engineer, I expect specific answers. I have only asked for suggestions.
So there are a couple of suggestions I would do. My first would be ensuring that the directive principles of state policy.
You can't ensure it. You're giving suggestions to a committee.
Yes, sir. The suggestion would be, a major suggestion put forward would be that DPSPs under Part 4 of the Constitution be made legally, given a same status of legal protection as the fundamental rights in Part 3.
Enforceable. All DPSP have to be made enforceable.
Enforceable.
Very good. Wonderful. Next.
Second thing that I am actually thinking of is providing a sense of representation that is constitutionally mandated. Like the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments, sir, there are certain sections that are lacking. There are different types of provisions. For example, compulsory provisions and voluntary provisions.
You consolidate them.
I'll consolidate
at one place in the constitution. Then got your point. Next.
Yes, sir. And another important thing that I would do is make certain organizations constitutional. For example, sir, the National Commission for Women. This is its needs and constitutional status, sir. So these three are the three major criteria that I would work.
Can you give a couple of examples from your first suggestion? Directive principles to be enforceable.
Yes, sir.
Pick up those ones. The challenge I am giving to you is pick up those ones which are more difficult to be enforceable.
So the biggest challenge about the directive principles would be Article 44, which talks about the Uniform Civil Code, sir. And this is something that is under the matter is sub judice, and at the same time, certain states have taken certain steps.
So how do you write it in the constitution now? You want to take it out of being sub judice and put it in the new constitution. How do you write it?
So, at present, it talks about the state.
No, not at present. In what you are proposing, what will be the change?
So I would talk about constitutionally mandating the implementation of UCC.
Okay, so it is to be implemented, not to go to the court.
Yes, sir.
Right, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Anything about the center-state relations, or the election commission, or the governor? Any changes are required according to you?
So about center-states relationship, I would propose a change, sir, and this has also been proposed by a committee set up by the Government of India.
Yeah.
So there has been a frequent conflicts between the center and states about the deputation of all India service officers, sir.
Okay, got your point.
Thank you, sir.
You are a football player.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by total football?
Yes, sir. So the total football is a system of football which was first propounded by the Dutch under the coaching of Rinus Michels. And in this football system, sir, the attacker is the first defender, and the goalkeeper is the first attacker.
Interchangeable.
Yes, sir. And it's a team.
What is the formation the Indian team currently plays?
So Indian team plays two flexible formations, sir. One is 4-2-3-1, and the other is the 4-3-3 formation, sir.
4-3-3, the more popular one.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now India today stands at somewhere around 95, 96, close to 100 in the international ranking, isn't it?
103, if I'm not
around
wrong.
103.
Yes, sir.
You are asked to give suggestions to bring India into top 32. You get my point, why top 32?
Yes, sir.
Over a period of 5 to 10 years, what suggestions you would give?
So I would place my suggestions over three brackets, sir. The first bracket would be funds, wherein adequate...
Funds.
Yes, sir.
Now, funds will be utilized
for creation of assets, then proper training, organizing matches with top tier
got
teams.
it. Next.
The other would be the functionaries, sir. Ensuring that the regional associations and the associations have regular elections, experts are appointed to these committees,
Good.
high performance teams are made.
Good.
And the third would be facilities. The facilities with respect to the on-field as well as off-field. We're talking about on-field,
So you're basically talking about the facilities and the infrastructure only, nothing for the players.
So this talks about the players as
Selection
well, the
of the
facilities,
players.
sir. For example, coaching, sir, the proper contracts that currently the BCCI offers to the player. Thank you, sir.
What is about Gora Bazaar?
So the place Gora Bazaar is called so because of two reasons, sir. First of all, the place housed the royal barracks during the Second World War, sir. And second, the Britishers had this system, the ordnance factory in Gora Bazaar, sir.
Okay. What is the key thing about Raxol?
So Raxol is one of the 7 integrated checkpoints between India and its neighbors, sir. So a large volume of trade and people movement happens through the state.
So you are collector of Raxol. Tell me, does Nepal get transport subsidy from India? From Indian ports, goods going to Nepal, do they get some transport subsidy?
I'm unaware about the.
Yeah, so they get concessional transport rates by Indian Railways. So Raxol is
Thank you,
the
sir.
place up to which the railway will haul the goods, right? So if some smart businessmen, they want to avail the subsidy, so they get the goods up to Raxol, get it across to 𝐵𝐻𝐵, and then bring it back from 𝐵𝐻𝐵. Something which would have costed 2,000 rupees per ton for transportation, it will cost them only 1,000 rupees per ton now because it's coming via Nepal.
Yes.
And you come to know about it. What will you do about it?
So my first step for at such an activity would be the immediate publishing a notice or a notification which would call for a ban on such activities.
Why? It's not illegal.
But then it's actually round tripping the goods, and it is actually causing a loss of exchequer. So it might not be illegal, but at the same time, it is something that is causing economic harm to the country. The second step would be conducting frequent patrols and at the checkpost at the land ports. And third would be the tagging of the inbound and the outbound containers with appropriate designations or with numbers, or even using the RFID tags.
But collector does not have power to do all this.
So he would request the cooperation of other departments, the revenue department, the land boundary department, as well as the cooperation of the border security.
The first thing one should do is collect the data, find out what exactly is the order of magnitude of problem, and then find the solution. Anyway, good.
Thank you, sir.
You talking of, you do love plogging.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what exactly happens in plogging?
So plogging is an activity where we combine running or jogging with picking up litters.
Right? Okay. So do you think it's a wise thing that you keep on picking up litter? People will keep on throwing the litter and you keep on picking up the litter. So this will go on all the time, where's the end to it? Do you think it's a right approach?
So one of the biggest things that plogging can have or facilitate is the involvement of people in plogging runs. For example, sir, as a student member of BITS Pilani Student Council, we organized a plogging run inviting all the students and faculties.
So okay, I'm saying I'll give you 50 lakh rupees to remove litter in Pilani.
Yes, sir.
Right? So what would you choose? What method would you choose?
So the primary method would be the proper method of waste collection, segregation and disposal using a scientific method.
Yeah, so what would you do?
And the plogging as a tool would be...
No, I'm not bothered about plogging, right? I want a solution for littering in Pilani, right?
Yes, sir.
What would you do?
So Pilani being mostly an agrarian community, the type of litter mainly revolves around plastic or domestic use waste, sir. So my first point would be creation of dumping facilities that would be segregated into the domestic use and the plastic use waste.
What should be my first point of contact to teach that segregation must happen? Who should be my first point of contact?
So the local municipality, I would be talking to the local municipality and ask them to get the trainers, the waste collectors trained.
Train whom?
Train the waste collectors and the segregators, and the...
Why not train the children? Why not train the households?
Yes, sir. This would be a very important step. Thank you, sir.
Okay. What type of plastic usage is banned?
So, as far as my knowledge goes, sir, very recently, under the very recent notification, 2 types of plastic usage has been banned. First is the single-use plastics, and the second would be plastics with thickness under 120 microns.
Yes, very good. And they have done something to make plastic biodegradable. What has been done? There's a biodegradable plastic available in the market now.
So mandating the increase in the plastic thickness has been one step, sir.
That doesn't make it biodegradable.
And one is that use of a chemical called chitin, which has been blending chitin with the polymers, sir, and this has actually helped in improving the biodegradability. I am unaware about any other method.
They have introduced a starch molecule in plastic so that it becomes biodegradable. Okay. Have you heard of a huge island of waste somewhere? Island of plastic waste.
So I have heard about dump yards of plastic waste in a major city like Delhi.
No,
And
island of Delhi can't have an island.
no,
I'm
sir.
talking of island of plastic waste. It's a very famous, huge island, all bigger than size of Australia. It's floating somewhere.
So am I allowed to take a guess on it?
Yes, yes. Why not?
So my idea points me towards the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. So
Yes. So what can be done about it? What is the size of that patch?
I'm sorry, sir, I do not have the dimensions of it.
Well, it's bigger than Australia. Yeah. What can be done about it?
So the initial response must be twofold. So first would be an immediate ban in the release by the littoral countries, release of plastics, and the second would be an immediate trawling exercise to collect the surface and the subsurface plastics. Sir,
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Shubham,
Sir.
Honorable Prime Minister of Nepal visited India say about a fortnight back.
Yes, sir.
He discussed so many issues with the Prime Minister. Who is the Prime Minister of Nepal nowadays?
So,
What is his name?
Sir Sher Bahadur Doba, sir.
Mr. Sher Bahadur Doba. Okay. So, which issues were discussed with him by our Honorable Prime Minister?
So I remember hydroelectricity and flood control.
So, one related with energy and
The other was about flood control.
something related with connectivity also.
Yes, sir. Connectivity model.
Just brief, be brief. Tell me one sentence related with each.
So about hydroelectricity, India and Nepal are in process of finalizing a power sharing pact wherein India would buy excess power from the Himalayan nation.
Okay, next.
And for connectivity, a new rail line has been opened from Jayanagar.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you, sir.
So now related with chemistry, you are teaching chemistry, isn't it?
No, sir. I quit my job 3 years back.
Okay, but you have taught chemistry.
I have taught chemistry.
Okay, what is this BOD and COD? These stand for?
Biological oxygen demand and the chemical oxygen
Would
demand.
you like to correct the first one? It's not biological oxygen demand, and there is nothing like biological oxygen demand.
So then would it be biochemical oxygen?
Yeah, there is biochemical oxygen demand. Now you tell me what
Sorry, sir.
exactly that is.
Sorry, sir. So biochemical oxygen demand is the quantity of oxygen that is required for biochemical processes to take place in a water body, sir.
Okay, good enough. So related with colonial sedition law.
Yes, sir.
Discussed a lot during past, say, about 7 to 10 days in Supreme Court. So you tell me, how did the arguments went on? Our Solicitor General was there once, our Attorney General was there once, and from petitioner side, Mr. Kapil Sibal. So how the arguments went on related with colonial sedition law?
So from the side of the petitioners,
From both the sides.
Yes, sir.
Attorney General, Solicitor General from central government side, and Mr. Kapil Sibal from petitioner side. So how they went on, and what is the latest related with this?
So from the side of petitioners, the lawyer Mr. Kapil Sibal has been very adamant about the court re-examining the law, and from the side of the government initially has requested some time on deliberating about the nuances of the case, and the government has also pointed out Solicitor General Tushar Mehta sir had talked about the non-examination of this case because it has already been examined in detail under the Kedarnath case of
That's
1962,
right.
sir.
1962.
I remember reading in yesterday's or today's newspaper about a change in government stance wherein the PM Modi's view of doing away with archaic colonial laws and reforming of civil liberty laws being brought into the picture, and the government has requested
And it was said that these are being re-examined.
re-examined.
And you defer the hearing in this case.
Yes, sir.
Was that like that?
Yes.
Anyway, what happened thereafter?
So the court has given a couple of days time. I'm not really sure about.
And what about the past cases and the future and the cases which will be in future related with this? What exactly Supreme Court said related with those matters?
So there has been a slight change in
Whatever has happened in
Yes,
the
sir.
past related with those cases, and there may be cases in future also. Supreme Court has agreed that okay, we will defer hearing in this particular matter. But what will happen to the cases in the past and the cases related with the sedition law which are going to happen in future? Okay, Mr. Kapil Sibbal said that in addition to Article 19(1)(a), 14 and 21 should also be looked into. So, why 14 and 21 articles?
Sir, I'm unaware about.
Okay, one more related with this. We were talking about UCC.
Yes, sir.
So, you said that in some of the states it is already under implementation. So, in which state it is already under implementation?
So Goa is a state.
Goa. So, exactly that is not the same as the uniform civil code we want.
Yes, sir.
So, now you tell me where from that civil code has come. Was it initially the Portuguese civil code? Portuguese civil code it was, and now it finds place in Goa Daman and Diu Administration Act. Anyway, how is that different than the uniform civil code which other states want?
I'm sorry, sir. I'm unable to recall the
Okay,
exact
thank
differences.
you.
Thank you, sir.
You are from Balia
Yes, sir.
or the border of UP Bihar
Yes, sir.
and now settled in Kolkata.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes you must be visiting also.
Yes, sir.
On some parameters, how will you compare Bengal and UP?
So Bengal and UP can be compared on certain levels, sir. So the most recent or the most latest level of comparison that I would draw is the level of investments and the level of industry. We see that UP has shown a very positive growth, but Bengal since a couple of years has been struggling, although the momentum is catching up, sir. The second would be the system of political violence that has been very demarcated with West Bengal and the other states, especially UP, sir. And
Political
system of political violence.
violence, so that in Bengal it is on increase and UP also on increase.
No, sir. The data that I remember from NCRB has pointed in the reduction in the number of political killings or political violence-related deaths in UP, but the number has increased in West Bengal.
Also,
sir.
you have not spell out this difference.
I'm sorry,
You
sir.
simply touched on the political violence.
I'm
So
sorry,
UP
sir.
it is on decline.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the third would be the different nature.
What is the per capita income of Bengal and UP? What is the Bengal? Forget about UP.
So I do not recall, but I remember that the per capita income of West Bengal is higher than that of UP, sir.
But some. Anyway, go ahead.
And the third major difference between the two states is the level.
Recently, unemployment, the data were out.
Yes, sir.
So, Bengal and UP,
I am sorry, sir. I do not remember
Okay.
reading the data.
your political sciences. That's
Yes, sir.
recently, Chief Justice,
Yes, sir.
there was the PM also was there.
Yes, sir.
So now you first me, how many Supreme Court judges are there?
So 34.
Now complete.
Yes, sir.
Who are those two that recently joined?
So Justice Dhulia from the Guwahati High Court and Justice. I'm sorry, I'm unable to recall the name, but he's from the Gujarat High Court.
Oh,
So, from 34 to 33, when
Sorry, sir.
34 figure was complete, when those two were nominated. Now, from 34 to 33.
again
Next
somebody retired.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm unable to recall.
The Porkiwala or somebody from Gujarat. Okay, so now our federal structure is under strain.
Yes, sir.
What are the differences between Bengal and central government?
So the biggest difference between government of West Bengal and the government at center is a difference of ideology. And this has also been pointed out by scholars like Rajni Kothari, who have talked about the difference in political ideologies leading to a difference in federal
That is on
relations.
the Rajni Kothari and the presently which cases they are in conflict.
So there are a couple of cases in which they are in conflict. So one
How
is
many cases CBI is handling of West Bengal?
Sir, I'm unable to recall the exact figure, but there are a couple of cases that CBI
Can
is
you
handling.
just try to recall it? There is no question of all 100%.
So one is the Sharada case, and then there's this case which relates to the smuggling of gold by a influential political leader from West Bengal, and there is a case against a civil servant from a very high-ranking civil servant from West Bengal who is under investigation from the CBI. Sir.
Just last question. How will you compare Bagga case and Mewani case?
So I'm unaware about the intricate details of the two cases, sir.
Oh, very
but-
diplomatic, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
The Mewani and Bagga.
Okay.
So he very diplomatically, I am not aware of the Mewani.
But I know one major point for fault line between the two cases, if I'm allowed to present,
please,
sir.
Please.
So in the Bagga case, a major mistake that was made by the Punjab police was it did not intimidate the Delhi police, and it is a norm that the local thana, at least the local thana must be intimidated, and they barged in and they, okay.
So procedure at the part of.
And then the complaint was filed in a third state, sir, and the police of the third state got involved and also. Whereas in the,
Can that be filed?
sorry, sir.
Can that be filed, as you have just case that complaint was filed in other state? Can that be?
Yes, a complaint has been. In fact, Tejinder Pal Singh Bagga was arrested on a complaint that was filed in the state of Punjab, sir. So, I'm not really sure about the details, but I think it can be filed, sir.
So procedure and Mewani case.
Mewani case, sir, the complaint was filed in Assam, and the Assam police went to Gujarat, took permission of the local police, and then then transferred him to to Assam, and he was later released on bail from there.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
From your service preferences, I find
Yes, sir.
that you put a very high preference to Danix,
Yes, sir.
7th, and police service, 8th. It doesn't seem to be rational. Tell me, what's the difference between Group A's cadres and All India services, and between Group A and Group B? Very briefly, you tell me what are the differences.
So All India Services, as mentioned in Article 312, talks about 3 services: the IAS, Indian Administrative Service, Indian Police Service, and the Indian Forest Service. Whereas the Group A services include these 3 services in addition to a couple of other services, sir. And between Group and Group B service, it's about the designation, sir. For example, there's a difference between the salary structure, there's a difference between the level of promotions, and finally, some officers, if based on merit, can be promoted from Group B services to the Group A services, sir.
A man of ordinary prudence would not have given high preference to Group B cadres,
Yes, sir.
given a choice. If that is what I say, what is your response to it? Did you take a rational decision?
Yes, sir. I have
And
taken.
why? What are the grounds?
So I have taken an informed decision based on my own personality traits, as well as advice of a couple of my college seniors from BITS Pilani, sir. So I have been someone who has worked at the ground level and in social service with NSS, then been a student representative at my college. So I'm someone who likes interacting with people. And after IAS and the IPS and a couple of other services, DANIX and DANIPS, despite being in Group B service, that is not a concern to me. It gives me an opportunity to work at the ground level, sir. And it is very similar given the fact that to the IAS and the IPS. And this is what has prompted me to place it higher over other services, sir.
You went to St. James School.
Yes, sir.
When was the school established?
So 1864, sir. The school was established in 1864, sir.
You're sure?
Yes, sir, because in 2014, the school celebrated its 150 years.
Is that a Roman Catholic or a Protestant institution?
It's a Protestant institution, sir.
What's the difference between Roman Catholicism and Protestant faith? What's the difference between these two sects?
So the biggest difference between the two sects is the reverence of Mother Mary. Whereas in the Roman Catholics revere Mother Mary, the Protestants do not have this system of reverence for Mother Mary, sir. And then there is that difference that the Protestantism is actually is called as the enlightened version of Roman Catholicism, sir. And then the operational areas wherein the difference in the methodologies, for example, it's called father in case of the Roman Catholics, whereas it is brother or priest in case of the Protestants, sir.
What's the difference between Judaism and Christianity?
So Judaism is the earliest version of the 3 Abrahamic religions, sir, and it draws its lineage from the prophet Moses, sir. And
What's the difference? Why are they fighting each other given an opportunity? Why? What were the reasons?
so I do not remember the exact reasons, but if I'm allowed to quote that quote of play by Shakespeare, sir, The Merchant of Venice, then
What
it was
was it? Tell me.
the Jews were seen as people who were exploitative and very cunning, and they controlled trade and monopolies.
I'm talking about the theological difference.
I'm sorry, sir, I'm unaware.
What is the difference between Islam and Judaism?
So Islam has the angel Gabriel guide Prophet Muhammad on the teachings on the words of the God, and it was he who like created this sect of followers. So whereas in Judaism it was the case with Moses, sir.
Okay. You see, I came across a statement about Pakistan, which I'm going to quote
Yes, sir.
in a Western magazine.
Yes, sir.
Would you please tell me the import of this statement? I quote, Pakistan is a badly governed basket case, unquote. What is the import of this statement?
So the very essence of this statement points to the fact that governance has been an issue with Pakistan, and this has not been since now. It has been a lot years back. So as a student of political science, I am reminded by this quote by Hamza Alvi, which talks about Pakistan being under the mercy of 3 A's: Allah, America, and Army. And this is what has led to the ruin of Pakistan. Pakistan has this dual system of government where the two systems are in conflict with each other. And in countries, especially the post-colonial democracies, all countries wherein there has been an interference of military in the rule of democracy, the countries have failed at some point of time. And
what is meant by basket case? Badly governed basket case.
I'm sorry, sir.
Okay. What's the implication of China-Myanmar economic corridor? And what stage is the project now? Implication for India, China-Myanmar economic corridor.
So the China-Myanmar economic corridor, if implemented to completion, would complete the strategic encirclement of India by China, sir, and it would provide another alternative for China to access the waters of India other than the Gwadar port, sir.
What is the current state of implementation of this project, China-Myanmar economic corridor?
So as far as I can recall, certain level of the negotiations have begun, and a couple of projects have also begun functioning, sir, especially with respect to a port in the southern province of Myanmar, sir. And this has been expedited due to the junta regime, which has been called to be traditionally closer to the Chinese position, sir.
Suppose you're posted in a district and you're asked to implement the government's ambitious scheme of doubling farmers' income. Doubling farmers' income. How will you go about implementing it? How will you approach this matter? You are asked to strategize and submit schemes for implementing it. What will be your approach?
So I would list my approach in a couple of steps, sir. My first step would be a proper system of data collection and creating an on-field committee which would examine the local strength of the place, of the district, sir. My second would be based on the findings of the committee and the usage of technologies like, for example, data analytics or artificial intelligence. I would prepare a roadmap that would be best for the country, for the district, sorry. The third step would be implementing a program or a scheme, for example, the one district, one product, which would focus on the local strengths of the place. The fourth would be incentivizing and supplementing farm incomes by proper system of agriculture, scientific system of agriculture or agriculture extension. And in addition to this, I would also focus on other methods of off-farm employment. And the final would be, if the district has some certain urban areas, a scheme of employment very similar to the Manrega for the urban areas would be done. And this would actually help reduce dependency on farmland, sir, and would help in diversifying the employment, sir. And this would be my 5-pronged strategy.
Okay, what's the difference between militancy and insurgency?
So militancy is the umbrella term which has been used to define or explain any subversion behavior towards a country or a polity, sir. And if we are talking about insurgency, we are talking about a plan of action or a response wherein people of belonging to certain terrorist organizations or certain insurgent organizations act against the state for the purpose of independence of their territory or for creating sectarian or territorial violence between the people, sir. So,
You are ready to go to the UPSC next week. Keep it up. Just one small suggestion.
sir, can
Sir,
I use the
Yes.
No.
You
You're
can take it,
perfect.
but
Fine,
you're
sir.
an
No
alert
need,
person.
no need.
Nothing great. The only suggestion I'm giving you, the sir asked you a question regarding the choice of service. You gave your answer, we got it. I think discussion may not end here. Because your choices number 4, 5, 6,
Yes,
which
sir.
are well ahead of DANEX, are all 3 services where public interface is 0. Almost 0. Indian audit and account, Indian revenue. Today, audit and account never had a revenue services also, now it is gone. And it's not likely to be there almost for the entire career. How will you justify that? Just think over it and
So
prepare your
about I have prepared an answer to this, sir. About IRS, I wanted to preferred IRS Customs and Central Excise as my 4th option, because there is an avenue to work in different departments. For example, Director of Revenue Intelligence or NCB, wherein there is some sort of field level activity. And for IRS IT, I wanted, like, I have a relative currently in IRS IT who,
senior officers there also do not have a field job.
Sir, can I just,
Anyway.
I listened to your group that there are plenty, that job in DANEX, I have seen plenty of people leaving railway traffic service, postal service, joining DANEX, because the grassroots level, the variety of jobs is far better than any group service. So you justify that. Sorry.
and about IRS IT, I know that there is this system of legacy system wherein it has gone online and faceless system, sir. But I have read that it's a very prestigious service, number 1. And number
so
2,
let it be the answer that you have gone by prestige also. Do not say the field work only. That
Okay,
is
sir.
my point. That's all.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Your hands are frozen. You can use a bit of it. And you can smile. Put some enthusiasm. Otherwise, you're doing very well.
Yes, sir.
Put a smile also. And you should be able to do well. You have talked of blogging. So get into this garbage thing a bit more.
Yes, sir.
Because this is something which affects everybody.
Yes, sir.
Right? Who is the blogman of India? All those things. But get more into this. Okay. Biodegradable plastic. But because plastic is going to mess up
Yes, sir.
how those mountain of waste, that Alwasa, nothing is happening. All these issues, get into it. You can make it.
Only one thing, you are a very good candidate. One thing, don't forget to read the newspaper on that very day when your interview will be held. You
Yes.
have not read today's newspaper.
I haven't read in detail, sir.
Yeah.
No problem. Perfect.
नहीं
Go
उस
ahead.
दिन लेकिन पढ़ना है ये जरूरी उस दिन का
हाँ, वो
बोलना
तो अरे
मत
पढ़ते हैं.
बोलना मत
No, sir. I'll read.
Well, 3 quick points. You are a bit too fast. You think fast. And a bureaucrat always takes a pause. He listens to the question. Then he makes up his mind. Okay? Now, doubling of farmers' income. An IAS officer would have first looked at the word farmers. They are not a homogeneous group. They are small, marginal, big, medium, etc. And then he would have thought of strategizing for each group. What you gave is a technocratic answer of macro nature. You have to listen to the question carefully
Yes, sir.
and see the implications of the question. Civil service. You gave a pat reply. If you look at the Oxford Dictionary, you will get a different meaning altogether. You check it and
I'll read it, sir.
Third, China-Myanmar Economic Corridor. It has been completed already. $9 billion have been invested. And Chinese pipelines have reached the port of Sittui
Yes, sir.
already. So therefore, it's necessary that you listen to the question. And if you don't know for sure, better not say about it. Okay? So there might be questions about Chinese role in Sri Lanka, Pakistan, etc. Basket case.
Yes, sir.
Pakistan.
I don't know.
You spend a lot of time in defining badly governed. That's not necessary at all. The emphasis on basket case means a country on a begging bowl.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, my suggestion to you will be that read on Economic Daily, update your database, know about our neighborhood,
Yes, sir.
Myanmar, Nepal particularly,
Yes, sir.
the kind of problem we have. For instance, Nepal tea is being sold as Darjeeling tea. What would you do if you were asked to sort of look into this matter, help Nepal to properly grade the tea.
Yes, sir.
So therefore, there is no scope for imagination.
Okay, sir.
And fast thinking is useful provided your facts are under control.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please bear this in mind. You have excellent articulation. Okay. But since you come from St. James, you should have known about Judaism,
I'll read about it.
the last prophet syndrome. Moses said that I'll come again. When Jesus came, the Jews said, no, you're not the last prophet. And when Muhammad came, he claimed to be the last prophet. Jews don't accept that, nor would the Christians. It's very simple, which a student from a Christian institution should have known.
I'm sorry, sir. I'll read about it.
You
in
must
detail.
read about it. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because this might be useful in case there's a question of Palestine problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Rest is fine with you, and I'm sure I'll see your name in the list. But remember the golden rule: you are under no compulsion to say what you don't know for certain.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Rest is fine. You'll do well.
All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, my first question is, at any point in the interview, did I feel disrespectful or aggressive?
No, not at all.
No.
Second question.
Sir, and like, for example, sir, how important it is, like, there are many times we are told that we have to toe the government line. So how important is it to toe the line of the government?
Not
sir?
at all.
If
You are
your views
independent.
are asked, you have to give your views, but those should be substantiated with facts and figures.
Fine, sir. Like,
You have to remember that this is a formal conversation.
yes, sir.
You have earned the right to be interviewed.
Yes, sir.
Okay? It is not a test of your knowledge.
Yes, sir.
To see how you critically think and how you organize your thoughts to be able to deliver administrative justice. That requires patience and cool thinking. And you are a little fast.
Yes, sir.
That's my point. That you should listen to the question, make your point, and stop on your own. That's it.
I'll work on it, sir. And one very last question, sir. Sir, like, I have been told that this shirt is not okay for interviews.
This is okay.
It's
I would
perfectly
say-
matching.
I would say white shirt.
White shirt, sir.
Look at the way Emmanuel Macron dresses, or Boris Johnson, or anybody in the world.
White.
It's white shirt always, with your
Plain hoga to
business suit.
So probably
Your
that's
tie is excellent, white shirt would be wonderful.
everything from my end, sir. So thank you so very much,
All
sir.
the
Best of
best.
luck.
Thank you so
You
very
will
much,
do
sir.
well.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
Which date is your interview?
So 18th of May.
Just
You have
7 days.
time.
It's just like 1 week, one more week.
Yeah.
1 week.
Okay. Thank you, sir.